By definition, an antenna is a metal whip designed to receive and transmit radio signals within a given area.
It's BS in the Morning on KSLQ and Westplex 107.1.
Yes, it's Friday, so I can get away with Carl Douglas. Kung Fu Fighting. Shelley always says off the air, she says, Brad, play Kung Fu Fighting. Play Kung Fu Fighting. It's my favorite song. Right?
Whatever you think is going on in your little Brad brain.
Yeah, that is little Brad brain. There's no doubt about that. Okay,
I like that little Brad brain.
There you go, LBB. Now Shelley will never say it again, right? Anyway, you said it. I didn't. Okay.
I totally did.
Rain this morning. Rain. It's been raining since
go away.
Started last night, depending where you're at.
This is the Lion.
7, 8 o'clock. No. It is. It's on March 1st. It doesn't. Once you get past the 1st, it doesn't make any difference anymore.
It sure does.
Here we go again with our temperature. Our temperature here in St. Louis is, I think, looked at last time was 44. In some parts of the Kansas City metro, it's snowing and sleeting because they're almost 10 degrees colder than we are. Is that weird or what? I mean, it's so strange. They're literally almost due west of us. I mean, if you go to Lambert and you take a plane off and you put the compass heading to 270, which would be due west, you end up in Kansas City. And yet they get the snow. A lot of times they get the snow. We don't. They get the cold temperatures, or at least colder temperatures than we get. Remember, it was a couple weeks ago. It was one morning, wasn't it, like 20 degrees? We talked about this, 20 degrees colder in Kansas City than it was here. It's like, God, that's so weird. Anyway, this big band of activity that's moving through the St. Louis area, it is huge. If you look at it on radar, this band goes anywhere from way down in Texas, matter of fact, almost to the point where, where Dallas, or south of Dallas, it starts between Austin and Dallas, and it goes all the way up into Detroit right now. And that's as far as the northern part of it goes. And it goes all the way onto the East Coast and out to Cape Hatteras in the Carolinas area. One big monstrous band of activity. The worst of it is already through the St. Louis area, but it looks like we're going to have rain, I would say. What's the official forecast? For like noon, 1, 2, something like that? Is that what they're saying?
I didn't hear her.
What? You didn't hear her? Let me see. Rain forecast for the next hour, 7, 8,
it's
9,
clear.
10.
That's what my computer says. It's 44 degrees and clear.
According to this, it's supposed to rain all the way through 5 o'clock. Wow, not good. Rain. And I have some place to go today that I have to park and walk like 3 or 4 blocks. No fun.
Do you want a
poncho?
Umbrella?
No, umbrellas are for wimps. Real
men.
Go
in there like a drowned wet puppy.
Real men don't use umbrellas. What are you talking about?
That's not true.
Yeah, real men don't use umbrellas.
Okay.
See, that's just it. We don't.
I know.
Next 6 hours.
Whatever you say.
Next 6 hours. Lots of stuff to talk about this morning. Sort of a shocker, at least it was to me, because I'm driving around last night and I'm listening to stations got news at the top of the hour. And the top of the hour newscast was, the verdict is in the Alex Murdaugh trial. And I'm going, it just went to the jury like at 2 o'clock. Anyway, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if it comes back that quick, he is innocent. And I've thought to myself, okay, the jury's in. They'll wait till Friday morning to bring the jury in and give the verdict. Nope, they did it last night. Guilty on all 4 counts.
Really?
Guilty. 2 counts of murder.
The big G.
And one count of, there's laws in South Carolina. Apparently, if you commit a crime with a weapon, it's a certain, nasty crime. And there's 2 weapons crimes in there. So 2 counts of murder.
So do they get incarcerated?
Oh, man. I mean, if you watched.
Because people here don't.
No, I watched the video. They had the video up. I mean, they've had covered this trial. They've got like probably 4 or 5 cameras in that courtroom. And they had like a split screen where, the jury comes back and the clerk takes the verdict from the jury, and she walks it over to the judge, and the judge looks at it for a couple of minutes and reads all the different, there's 4 sheets of paper, each count, and then he gives it to the clerk, and the clerk stands up in front of the court, and she reads the 4, and the first time, the first one was murder, guilty. She reads the whole, the charges and all the goofy numbers, South Carolina code SC 4605 or whatever the stuff is. And he didn't even flinch because they had a split screen of her on one side and him on the other side. He didn't even flinch. And then she reads the second murder verdict, blah, blah, blah. And what's interesting was it was almost like in the movies because as the verdicts were read, the court bailiffs, the police officers in the court, they come up and they surround him. There's one, he's still standing up because everybody's standing in the courtroom and he's standing and his attorneys are flanking him. And there's one, bailiff on his right, one bailiff behind him, one bailiff on his left. So the judge goes into the whole thing, gives all these things, and then they do the motions, and the defense immediately, says, we want to file a motion for mistrial, and he denies that motion. And then they go to the prosecution. You're able to start the penalty phase of the trial, and the prosecutor says, "Yep, tomorrow morning, 9:30." And the judge says, to the defense, "Will that work?" And he says, "Yes, we can do that. 9:30 tomorrow morning." So then the judge is winding it down. As he's winding it down, the police, the bailiff guys, it was actually 2 guys and a gal. They sort of turn him around. They put the handcuffs on him, and off he goes. I mean, it's just sort of, the whole thing. If you watch the trial, it's just, the guy just lied. And that's all he did. And even to the point, if they say the turning point of the trial was he claimed like the pathologist could pretty much tell exactly what time they were murdered. They claim, I think it was 7:49 or something like that. 7:49 on whatever this day was in July. And he claims he wasn't there. He claims it as his mom's house. And then I believe his son, Paul, had an iPhone. And this is like this, if you remember this crazy story that happened with these, I don't know if you remember this, these crazy people that went and shot up that city in California. It was like a guy and a gal, and the guy worked there. And he shows up for a Christmas party, I think it was, and then he shows up in all black ninja kind of clothes, him and his girlfriend or something like that, and they kill all those people that work for the city. And then they had a huge police chase where they're literally, flying down the streets and shooting each other and stuff like that. Well, the bottom line was they tried to get into his phone. Remember this? And they couldn't get into his phone because he had a passcode on his phone. It was an iPhone. And I didn't know this, but supposedly if you put in the wrong code so many times, it locks the phone forever, and you can never get in. It's like almost like a Mission Impossible thing, where if you do the passcode so many times, the phone just burns up. It doesn't physically burn up. Well, that was the turning point in the trial, because while the trial was going on, they finally got into his son's Paul's phone, and there's a short little video of them talking about one of the dogs, and one of the dogs had picked up a chicken in his mouth and was running around with this chicken in his mouth, and obviously it's time stamped, and he was there at like 7:45, and they go, "Well, you told us you were at your mother's house." Well, I lied.
Did he say that?
Oh yeah. He says, there was one day I didn't watch this intently, but there was one day when it really caught my attention where the prosecuting attorney had like 30 questions that he asked him in a row. And the questions were like, did you tell your partners that you did blah, blah, blah? And he said, and the prosecutor says, was that the truth? No. And then he would say, next question, did you tell blah, 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 blah that this was the case? Yes, I did. Was that the truth? No. It's like, holy cow. Because if you know the whole crazy story, he's supposedly hooked on drugs and he's doing all these things. He's stealing money from his law firm. He's doing this, he's doing that. And I don't know if you know this part of the story, they're now opening a case that was like 5 or 6 years ago where one of the kids' son died mysteriously and was found in a field somewhere, beat to hell. And his housekeeper fell down the steps at her house, and what the prosecutor was saying that why he was doing all this stuff, why he killed his wife and daughter, or wife and son, is that morning the law firm officially confronted him about missing money. The CFO of the law firm, I think it was a woman, came into his office and said, and by the way, did you know his real name, his first name is it's Richard? It's not Alex. His name is
I did not know that.
Richard Alexander Murdaugh. And I go like, his name's not even Alex? It's and I'm going like, that's weird. I've never heard that before. It's not his real name.
Ram.
Yeah, Richard's his first name. I guess he didn't want to be known as a dick.
That could be.
Yeah,
that is a side effect.
That's one of those problems you have when you're Richard. People can call you Ricky or Rick or Rich or Dick. I have to tell you,
it's like Dick.
I've never understood that. How is a Robert called a Bob? And how is a David called a Dave? And how is an Anthony called a Tony? Can you explain? Your husband's a David. Does he go by David? He doesn't go by Dave. He goes
I call him David, but everybody else calls him Dave.
Okay, so I can see where you got D-A-V-I-D and D-A-V-E are pretty close, but
and then D-A-V-E-Y, which is
Davey?
My bonus son.
That's his actual God-given name. Or whatever you call him, Davey. It's D-A-V-E-Y.
It's not his God-given name. His name is David.
But he's a junior, though, probably, right?
Actually, he's a 1. He's a 2.
He's a 2. Okay, but he has the exact same name as your husband, except he's got a 2 behind it instead of I'm
correct.
I'm Brad Hildebrand the first. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, I come from a long line of royalty, right?
Yeah, so do I.
Royal Crown Colas is where I come from. Yeah. Okay.
Royal Crown and Ripple.
Yes. Yeah, the high-class parties. Anyway, no more stuff in the Murdaugh trial, although I think the sentencing guidelines is 30 years to life on each sentence. But then he's still got 99 other crimes he's going to go to trial for. All these financial crimes. 99. What's he thinking? Does he think he can get away with stuff like that? And you know what the bizarre thing is? I read this story about him yesterday. They talk about how he's like so prominent in that area because for years his family essentially has run the prosecutor's office. He's got blue lights in the dash of his car and in the grill of his car so he can go to crime scenes quicker. And he has a badge, and he carries a badge with him. And it's interesting because the whole part of the story of how this whole thing sort of unwound is his son allegedly was piloting his boat drunk at night, and they hit a bridge. On a lake or something they were on, or creek or river or something like that. They hit a bridge, and one of his girlfriends was killed, and the family was suing the family of the girl. I think her name was Mallory Beach. They were suing the Murdaughs for like $50 million, and that's when the wheels started to come off because apparently they had a really good case. And what happened was that he shows up at the hospital the night that his son, because everybody in the boat was injured. His son was pretty badly injured, but the one girl unfortunately died. And he shows up at the hospital, and there's security camera video of him having his badge, like on his, like they have the badge on their belt. You know what I'm talking about? Like the detectives wear the badge in their belt. He's got this badge, like in his pocket. It's on the front of his pants, and he's walking around. And during the trial, they asked him. They said, "When you went to the hospital, why did you display that badge?" And his answer was, "It makes the law enforcement officers more prone to be nice to me because I'm a fellow badge-carrying person." And the story is he went from room to room to room with all these kids who were in the boat who were injured and said, "Now, when the people come in and ask you what happened, you tell them my son was not driving the boat." He's trying to get his son off in the hospital. Bizarre. There's going to be Netflix. There already is. Somebody told me there's already a Netflix special on this. I don't know. This is going to be like one of these things where you're going to see it like for the next 20 years. The Murdaugh trial. I don't know. I think it's sad. And now, if you want to say, legally, you can come out and say, yeah, he killed his wife and his son. He did it. It was him. He was a murderer. Double murderer. Cold blood. Shot his son with a shotgun. Shot his wife with a 30 blackout rifle. How bad is that?
Yep. Dead, murdered, stabbed.
I'm telling you. Okay, we have to take a break at 6:47.
Yep. Break.
Don't you like that song? It's always been a good, positive song for me. It's Talking Heads. Goes way back for that one. You like it?
I do.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
7.
Wow, that's not very good.
It is in my world.
What would you give a 10 to? What song would you give a 10 to?
Oh, My Immortal.
Which we're not going to play on this station.
Which I think that is just so wrong. It's my only birthday wish, and you're not going to give it to me.
When I put this station on the air, I said, no slow songs. We don't play.
You play whiny songs all the time.
Well, whiny and slow are different.
Oh, my gosh.
If you have whiny...
Not really.
The worst is whiny slow songs.
Yes.
I can tolerate whiny if it's got a beat to it, but if it's slow and whiny, or if it's just slow, no thanks. Got to keep the tempo up. We don't play slow stuff. We don't play slow music on the station. None. There's no slow songs on there. Ever. No ballads. No, Beth, I hear you calling. None of that kind of stuff. No Journey, no what's the Journey song? None of that stuff. No slow.
That was a Journey song?
Did you pick up? Did you get which one it was? What's the No Color My World? No. None of that on this radio station. No. Forbidden. Prohibited.
But it's Break the Format Friday. You could
Break the Format
play it
Friday.
And you wouldn't get in trouble.
I got a new song coming up I've never played before on Friday. That I played,
okay.
One of my favorite songs, that it's sort of an obscure song. When I play it, you're going to go, I've never heard that song before. But it wasn't a huge hit. It was a hit. It was like not a monster hit. It wasn't like number one for like 10 weeks or anything like that. Matter of fact, I don't think it ever made it to number one. You know what's interesting? You go back through the history, when I was doing research for this station and I was going through a lot of the number ones sucked. Just because it was number one. And, it's to the point where like, okay, why did this song make it to number one? It's terrible. Sometimes it's just goofy things. It's movies that, songs came out of, that kind of stuff. Anyway, last break, we're talking about names. The smartest woman in the world. This is why she's the smartest woman in the world. This is what
amazing.
She sends me. She says, the name John was possibly known since biblical times. Popularly known since biblical times. Throughout the 17th century or Middle Ages, due to Germanic tongues, the name John was somewhat changed to Jankin, Jankin, or Jackin, Jackin. Why would it be Jackin? As an outcome, they used the name Jack as a nickname for John. Every person named John normally uses Jack as their alias. So blame the Germans. Blame
the Germans.
My father-in-law was actually named Jack. That was his name. He was not a John. He was Jack. See, once again, we talk about this, like, for example, Shelley. People call you Shell, right?
They do.
I get that. But you know what people call me? And my real name's Bradley. You know what they use as an alternative to that?
Can I say it on the air?
Ronaldo. That's what they call me. Hey, Ronaldo.
Oh,
yes?
they do not.
Oh, all the time. Didn't you know that?
Please.
An alternate for the name Bradley is Ronaldo.
Oh, it is not.
It is too. Ask.
Whatever.
Do you know anybody whose name is Brad?
You.
Ask my son-in-law. He'll tell you.
Okay, ask him.
Brad Butte, Brad Cox. I told you the goofy story when I was in high school. One year, I think I was a junior or a senior. The trombone, there were three of us in the trombone section. Me, Brad Butte, and Brad Cox. Three Brads sitting right next to each other. What are the odds of that?
Brad cubed?
No, yeah, Brad. What are the odds of that? Now, once again, if it were back in the day, if it were Dave or Tom or Robert, I'll never understand the one become Robert and Bob. Once again, Robert should be Rob. Just chop off the Bert. How does it become Bob? Bob, woman's best friend.
What?
Never mind.
Bob is a woman's best friend.
Say that again, one more time.
No, because I don't know what it means. What does it mean?
Say it one more time for me.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Say what you said before.
Nope.
Say what you said before.
Nope.
Come on, say what you
it's
said
not
before.
going to happen, Brad.
Oh, what? Come on. Be a team player. Come on.
Oh, look, it's 6:58.
But it's too early. We can't break that early. We have to break at 6:59. Okay. I heard a guy. We'll talk about this next hour. Who's dinging me? Some of these.
Not me.
Why is it here? Here we go. Mike Otten just sent me this. Why is a bathroom called a John? Explanation. Okay. I have to read this.
You gonna do it out loud?
Well, we have no time right now. Okay, we don't have time right now. We have to take a break. Well,
It's still 6:58.
Okay. There are two main reasons many people call bathroom the John. The first is the name John is an archetype of the name Jack or Jake, we already talked about. When toilets started to replace holes in chamber pots, some people called the toilet a Jake or a Jack. That's simply because Jack and Jake were common names. Eventually, the names Jack and Jake would often replace the name John. It became popular to refer to a toilet as a John. The second reason has to do with the invention of the flushing toilet. John Harrington was a poet and inventor. He lived during Queen Elizabeth's first reign. He came up with the idea of creating a toilet that was capable of flushing itself. This would push the waste further down the pipe and away from the homes. The idea was quite exciting since people weren't exactly in love with their homes smelling like a bathroom all the time. Harrington would eventually go to install such a toilet in Queen Elizabeth's chambers. He also built one for himself, and his name was John. So his name, John, arguably became linked with the idea of a flushing toilet. That's the short explanation.
Yep, 6:59.
I'm not ready yet. Hold on a minute. Say something. I got to fix the computer here real quick.
Something.
Okay, now say 6:59.
6:59.
It is BS.Show. One of my favorite songs. Haven't heard that in a long time. You know what song that is?
No, I've never heard it.
You've never heard that song before? It's by a group called, if I gave you 100 guesses, you wouldn't guess the name of that group.
J-Bong and the One Hits.
Almost. That's Good Charlotte. That has twin brothers, and one brother's got, I don't know if he had the tattoos removed, but he had this weird tattoos in his face that made him look like he's like a clown that's crying or some weird stuff like that. It's called Girls and Boys. Boys laugh at girls when they're not funny. Girls don't like boys. Girls like cars and money. That's the hook in the song. Is that true? You like cars and money?
Money is not my motivator.
But cars are.
I do like cars.
Yeah. So I guess I'm
and
not.
Paper and nice socks.
I get nice socks.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wearing nice socks or dude wearing nice socks?
The dude wears nice socks.
You say that. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all.
There is nothing more attractive than a man that's papered and has nice socks.
So my crew socks from Hanes, which by the way, you know, I told you the story when I was still in the prospectors before they kicked me out. The one lady in there, you know her name, Sandy Stegman, I believe was her name, who does the T-shirts and stuff like that. She's like ad specialty person. She got up one meeting. She says, we are no longer using Hanes T-shirts because the quality's gone bad. You know what? I agree with her.
I do too.
I've got Hanes underwear that's older than some of my kids, okay? But if I buy the new Hanes underwear, 6 months, it's in pieces. And same thing like with socks. I've got Hanes, white crew socks I've had for years and years and years. About 2 years, I bought the new version of the Hanes socks. Now they could go on an elephant's foot and still have room. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they just stretched out to the point where, like, if I put them on, they instantly fall down to my ankles. There's no stretch left in them anymore. I'm going like, okay, what happened to the old Hanes? And she says, what happened? It went to China.
Really?
Yeah, she says all the production. That's what she says. She says all the production's in China now. That the American, they don't make in America anymore. Americans were the good socks, and now anything in China is junk. See, the Chinese are going to take us over by essentially, like, for example, when we had, like, I've told the story before, and this is sort of Nerdville kind of story, but we were having some work done on our tower, and the tower crew was there, and they had this big old van that had all their climbing gear in it, all their harnesses and all the turnbuckles and snatch blocks and stuff like that. And when you open up the rear door of the trailer, there was all these safety notices, and there was this big notice that said, warning, no Chinese hardware. Remember that? I think you saw it, didn't you? Remember?
I did.
And I said to one of the guys, okay, what does that mean? And he goes, "Oh, the Chinese hardware is junk." And he says, there have been guys killed because of the fact that they're trying to cheap out. They're using, cheap Chinese climbing gear. The belts break, or the latches break. They're like hanging off the side of a tower. Belt breaks, bunk, made in China. And he said the worst part of it is now that some of the stuff that's made in China, they actually stamp it with that's made in America, and they stamp it with OSHA approved and stuff like that. And it's not. There's an ANSI rating. I don't know if you know what ANSI is. You know what ANSI is?
ANSI.
Right. There's an ANSI rating, and there's an OSHA rating and stuff like that. And the stuff that's made in China, it's just junk, but they just stamp it. China, approved. It's like, for example, I have something here at the radio station that requires a 24-volt DC power supply. I went through probably in the span of 2 years, maybe 5 of these power supplies. They just literally blow up. I mean, literally, there'd be a part in it that'd blow up because when I pick them up, you'd shake and there's parts flying around it. It's never good when you pick up a piece of electronic equipment and you shake it and there's parts rattling around inside of it, So I went to, and the problem was I couldn't find an American-made power supply. I finally found one, and it cost me 3 times as much as the Chinese power supply. It's lasted for 3 years. So you figure that, all it had to do was last 2 months, and it paid for itself, and still a lot of stuff, I mean, anyway, how do we talking about that? How do we get talking about that? Okay, I am fascinated by the law, and sometimes these goofy, weird cases. There's this bizarre case that's going on in Illinois, and it involves, of all people, White Castle. And
what are they ditching on my White Castles for?
Well, get this. If
are they closing all their stores?
No. This is in Illinois. This is just in Illinois, okay?
Okay.
It's in Illinois, and there's a group of class action attorneys that are suing White Castle for, are you ready for this? $18 billion.
Okay.
$18
billion.
$18 billion with a beep dollars, okay? And when I explain this to you, you're going to go, what?
I'm already going, what? What?
Okay. Hold on a minute. You threw down the gauntlet. I haven't used that one.
Stop it.
You haven't used that one in a while. Where is it? Is it number 10? Here it is. Here. I haven't used it. What? You were off key a little bit there.
That is not me. That is you.
That's not me either. Okay.
Who is it?
I can't tell you. So
it's not me.
There's a group of class action attorneys, and they're probably over in Edwardsville because that's where the class action attorneys hang out, over in Edwardsville. Okay. The reason they're suing them, White Castle, is because they claim that White Castle has violated the state's Biometric Information Privacy Act, BIPA, B-I-P-A, okay?
BIPA.
They violated the Biometric Information Privacy Act. You know how they did that? White Castle went with a system where when you sign into your computer, you use a White Castle, or when you because they're doing a computerized payroll thing, and you go to the computer system that's in White Castle, there's a little pad that you put your finger on, and it reads your fingerprint. So when they hire you, they take your index fingerprint and they put it in the computer system. And essentially, when you go to sign in your computer, instead of typing in a password, you stick your finger on this little pad and it reads your fingerprint, and bangle boingo, the computer turns on and it knows it's you.
Yes.
Okay, they're suing because
they've been using that in the government for years.
Well, guess what? In Illinois, it's illegal.
Really?
Yes, because of the Biometric Information Privacy Act, the BIPA, Biometric Information Privacy Act. And it says that, and here's what it says. Here's the latest version. The reason they're suing for $18 billion is the Violation Act provides that every time an employer violates the law, it's a $1,000 fine. So they figured out, well, there's been 9,000 employees in White Castle in White Castle restaurants in Illinois, and the average employee puts his finger on the computer screen, or a computer reader, whatever, the fingerprint reader, X amount of times per shift. So they're saying that, if you worked at White Castle in Illinois, and every time you put your finger on the computer screen to turn it on or, sign in the course of a night, maybe, let's say you did it 10 times, there's $10,000 fine. 10,000. And if you figure there's, 6 or 7 or 8 people working at White Castle, times, let's say there's 10, there's $100,000 fine in one shift. That's one shift. That's why they're saying it's $18 billion. I'm going like, okay, give it a rest. Give it a rest. You know, I mean, but here's the bizarre part of this is, let's say they were successful, okay? White Castle would have to do one of two things, either shut down or declare bankruptcy. Either way, all these people that have jobs that are working at White Castle in Illinois, and not only in Illinois, in Missouri and all the other states they're in, out of business. Nobody has a job anymore. All these people lose their jobs. People are making car payments by working at White Castle. People making their house payments. People keep, putting money to put their kids through school, buying groceries. Gone. Who cares? And what happens? The attorneys get like, of the $18 billion, they get $17.9 billion, and the employees get free White Castle gift certificates. That's the way the class action suits normally work. You know what I mean? I mean, how many times, and to the point where at one point in time, if you ever read these class action suits, they usually read plaintiff, and they show like 10 names or something like that, et al., which means and others. And then one time, my name actually showed up in one of those suits. And I can't remember what I bought. I bought something. It was some like consumer product or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I had to register online, a warranty or something like that. And my name showed up as one of the plaintiffs. And I petitioned the court to have my name removed because I didn't agree to that. I didn't say I wasn't suing them. It wasn't me. I could care less. Class action suits, God, nasty stuff. Haven't you ever gotten those stupid things where you want a class action suit and you get a coupon in the mail? Hey, we just want to inform you. Not $10 would be a good one. Most are like $1.50 or something like that. Hey, you get a free roll of Cottonelle bath tissue. Oh wow, a free roll of bath tissue. That's just what I wanted.
Enhancing the go.
No, that's the wrong one. That's Charmin. So you don't even know your bath tissue.
Yes, I do. I knew that was Charmin.
But I said Cottonelle. I didn't say Charmin. I said Cottonelle.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Excusez-moi.
Yeah. Okay.
I still like Mr. Whipple the best.
Wait till I tell you this one. Mr. Mike Otten sent me this one. And this is not a funny, joke story. This is a true story.
It's a funny, peculiar story.
In 2021, Ford Motor Company applied for a patent. And it just recently was published, which means it's going to be issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, okay? 2021, 2 years ago, they applied for a patent. It takes years typically to get a patent. It's going to be issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, okay? What's the patent for?
I don't know.
A self-repossessing vehicle.
Excuse me?
A self-repossessing vehicle. If you don't make your car payments...
Repossess as in repossess?
Yes, if you don't make your car payments and your car is just going to start up and drive itself back to the dealership. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. Here, and there's other ramifications. If you get behind on your payments, they're going to turn off certain functions of your car. So if you get behind on your payments, and let's say you missed a payment, you may go out to your car one morning and you jump in your Ford and you turn on the ignition. It's hot summer and the air conditioning doesn't work. And you go like, why does my air conditioning doesn't work? Why doesn't the radio work? And on the infotainment screen, it's going to say, hey, you missed your payment last month, so we've turned off your air conditioner and we've turned off your radio. If you want the air conditioner and the radio to work, make a payment and we'll turn them back on. Honest to God, I'm ready.
Where did you make this up in your little Brad mind?
I'm not making this up.
Are you sure?
Okay.
That sounds like a Brad thing.
Here, hold it. Let me read. This is out of the article. A new Ford patent published in February, last month, imagines a future where the automaker could remotely disable critical aspects of a vehicle if you're late on payments. Then adding fuel to your fears, autonomous cars could repossess themselves if you fall far enough behind on your big monthly payment. Now, here it says, while the United States Patent Office received the ID in 2021 titled Systems of Methods to Repossess a Vehicle, the patent was formally published on February 23rd. Just because Ford submitted such a patent doesn't mean the technology will ever go and see the light of day. That said, it's a scary thought. Any vehicle with a data connection could be susceptible to features like the radio and AC being disabled, which could nudge those behind on payments and dodging repossession to stop driving the car or truck. At first, an owner behind on a loan could potentially get delinquency notices sent to the infotainment display, which could be embarrassing if others in the car. So you pick up your boss. Your boss calls you, hey, my car's in for the shop. Could you pick me up at my house? Sure, boss. You go by his house, and when you're driving into work, on the infotainment system on the screen of the car, it says, dear Brad, you're behind in your payments. Please make a payment today, or we're going to turn your car off. Now, they already do that on some of these used car lots, the buy here, pay here lots. You know what I'm talking about? They already do that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. We did advertising years ago. I won't say the name of the car dealer, but he had a buy here, pay here lot. And typically the buy here, pay here lots, that's not as big as they used to be, but they came in like 20, 25 years ago. And the idea behind them was that a car dealer, well, let's say, would get a car that's sort of a beater, but yet he can fix it up a little bit. Let's say he pays $2,000 for it, okay? And let's say the blue book on the car would be like $10,000, okay? So he buys the car at auction for $2,000, maybe puts, $1,000 into it, fixes it up, and then he puts it on his lot for $99.95. So in other words, he's got $3,000 in it, and the idea being is that somebody comes along and they don't have any credit. They don't have $10,000 cash. They don't have any credit. So it's buy here, pay here. So what he does is he sells you that car, but he essentially carries the paper. He totes the note, as they called it. So in other words, he is essentially loaning you the money. The idea being is that if it's $10,000 car, he's got $3,000 in the car, you got $3,000, you give him $3,000. So essentially, he's even on that car. He hasn't lost any money, he hasn't made any money. But every month you make a payment, he's making money. So if you pay that car off, you're a good little doobie, and you pay off all the payments, he's made $7,000, plus he's charging you interest. He's the principal plus interest. He's probably charging you 30% interest. Well, the problem is a lot of people who are...
Who would take a 30% interest loan?
No. Hey, I know people. I mean, look at credit cards. 29. Most credit cards now are like 29.5 or something like that.
I had the same credit card for 30 years.
And now the credit...
And it's like 29%.
I'm telling you. People all the day. Okay, so what they do is they go to, and typically it's like an alarm company that does car alarms or something like that, and they put this gizmo underneath. They go and they change the wiring in the car, and they put this gizmo in the car, which does two things. A, it has a GPS tracker on it, so if you don't make your payment, they know where to come and get your car. And B, they can remotely turn off your ignition. So in other words, if you don't make your payment...
This is so icky that they're doing this.
This is true. I mean, this has been going on for years.
I believe it, and it's icky. I don't like it. I don't feel good about it. They need to stop.
They turn your car off because you didn't make your payment. And you call the dealer, hey, my car won't start. Yes, we turned it off because you're behind in your payment. Once again, I mean, Ford's gonna take it one step further. Hey, we're gonna warn you. You're a month late in your payment. We're turning your air conditioner off. Well, it's the summer. It's hot. We don't care. I guess in the winter they turn your heater off, so your heater doesn't work and you're freezing your car.
And see, to me,
right?
that would be a class action.
Well, they can do. You know why it's not a class action?
Why?
It's the golden rule. You know what the golden rule is?
He who has the money makes the rules?
Right. He who has the gold makes all the rules. That's what the golden rule is. See, the government goes by that. The government has all the money. Who has more money than the government? Nobody. Not even Tesla. Not even Elon Musk.
But isn't our debt overloading our actual cash?
If you do the net worth of the United States, we're like in negative net worth. Seriously.
Sounds like me.
Well, but going back to this Ford thing, so I'm going, see, here's the problem. And did you know also there's an ad running that it's not on our station, but I've heard it on other stations, and it's true. There's an executive order that Joe Biden has signed. This is not any BS, and I know the smartest woman's going to send me, I can't believe it. You're spewing falsehoods again. Joe Biden has signed an executive order for the Treasury Department to essentially experiment with a digital dollar. And they're doing this in Europe right now. They're talking about a digital euro. And the idea being there would be a day when cash goes away and everything's digital. So if you go to the store, now here's the interesting thing. This is to the point where let's say you like expensive cigars. The government could say, we don't think you should be able to have an expensive cigar because A, you shouldn't be smoking, and B, cigars shouldn't be $100 a cigar. So if you go with your digital currency to the cigar store and you pull out your debit card and you swipe it, the thing will say, sorry, you can't buy a cigar because you don't make enough money to smoke $100 cigars. So purchase declined. Well, I got money in my account. Oh, the government says you can't have a cigar. You think I'm kidding about this? I mean, this, and the
I
sad.
don't think you're kidding about it because they're doing that with a lot of other things as well.
Well, they're trying to do that with guns right now. They're trying to put in.
They're doing that with opioids as well.
Well, but see, here's the crazy thing. Okay, the crazy thing is that we already have essentially surrendered to the man. The man being Google and Facebook and the government and stuff like that. And you see all this stuff coming out with the Twitter files, how the FBI, if you read
Twitter files.
Oh my God, if you read these documents going back and forth between.
Is this Twittergate?
No, this is before Elon Musk took over. There's an FBI agent in, I think his name was Chan, in San Francisco, who's like on first name basis with all the Twitter people, and he's saying, hey, turn this guy's account off. They turn his account off. FBI guy was saying, hey, do this. Hey, turn this guy's account off. Hey, tell me everything this guy's, searched in the last 2 months. Hey, give me all this guy's tweets for the last 3 years.
That is so creepy.
Tell me about it. And they deny that, but once again, this is going way back when Brad, did I ever tell you this? I worked as a police dispatcher. Did I ever tell you that?
Oh my gosh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I saw this back in the day when this is like a long time ago, before smartphones and all this other kind of crap. There was already stuff that was like, okay, this is sort of scary. I mean, like, for example, I told you the bizarre story, which I told this story recently to somebody, and they told me I was a liar. I worked for a police department in Illinois, okay? And when we got hired, we had, and it probably still named the same thing, the system in Illinois is called LEADS, Law Enforcement Agency Data System. Used to be, at least it used to be. I have to look that up. In Missouri, it's called MULES, Missouri Uniform Law Enforcement System, okay? All these acronyms, okay? I went to a training seminar put on by the Illinois State Police. And this was a sergeant with the Illinois State Police. We went to a seminar in Collinsville, not at their headquarters. We went to a bank building. There was a bank building, had a big conference room in, and all the dispatchers in this area of Illinois, the new dispatchers, were told to go to this conference to learn the computer system. So for 2 days, we learned the computer system, how to run license plates and VINs and 27s and 28s and all that kind of stuff, 29s, all that kind of police jargon stuff. At the end of the 2 days, the sergeant stands up in front of the class and says, now, boys, and it's all men in this class, no women. Now it's weird because most dispatchers are women. Now, boys, he was a good old boy. Boys, you know how you do things, you get better at doing things, you do it over and over and over. So here's what you do. I know some of you, for smaller departments, you're not going to run a lot of inquiries in the computer system. So what you need to do is you need to throw one of those legal pads in the front seat of your car. I swear to God, this is what he said. And he says, when you're driving along, if you see a good-looking gal, you write down her license plate number. And when you get to work, let's say you saw 4 or 5 good-looking gals driving around, you write down their license number. And when you get to work, you run them on the computer system. You find out who they are. And you know what? If it comes back in their name, you can maybe research, see if they're single or not. And you just might show up at their door one night, knock on them and say, hey, I saw you on the highway the other day. You're an attractive woman. Let's go out for a drink. That's what the guy said. This was a sergeant from ISP. I'm going like, if that would happen today and that would get out, they would close down the Illinois State Police. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They would be out of business.
History.
Corey Gardner would be over there saying, you cops, we know you guys are all bad. I swear that's a true story. I'm thinking to myself, this is creepy, okay?
It is creepy.
One of my former employees who worked not at this radio station, but KSOQ, had a good relationship with a police officer friend of hers. And she would brag all the time. All she has to do is call up her friend and, somebody in the neighborhood, she doesn't know who it is. She'd call up her friend, run the license plate, which is illegal. It's not supposed to do that. Somebody's
Why?
like, because the system is not to be used by personal use. The system, the computer.
It's always used by personal use.
I told you the story years ago when I had a contract with Southwestern Bell Mobile Systems. I think I told you the story that their headquarters out there in Manchester, west of 270. Their big old building. Now it's just an AT&T building. But when it was Southwestern Bell Mobile Systems a long time ago, and I had a contract with them. My traffic network company did business with them. And every once in a while, I'd go out there and be this guy walking around the parking lot. And he'd just walk around the parking lot. And one time he came up to me and he says, hey, man, do you work here? I go, no. He says, okay. And he walks away. So I went in and, I talked to one of the people I was working with, and they said, oh, those are private detectives. I go, what? Those private detectives, typically those are private detectives working for divorce attorneys. And I go, okay, explain this to me. Well, back in the day, this is pre-internet. Back in the day, if you were like getting divorced and you were suspecting your husband or wife was cheating on you, and you looked at their cell phone and you saw these numbers on their cell phone, the caller ID in their cell phone, and you didn't know who it was, you would tell your divorce attorney, and your divorce attorney would hire a private detective, and the private detective would go and hang out in the parking lot at AT&T, and he would offer people that worked there $50 or $100 to run these phone numbers. Hey, here, you work at AT&T? Yeah, I do. You on the computer? Says, yeah. Can you look up customer accounts? Yeah. Okay, here's $50. Here's a phone number. Look up this number and call me back at this number and tell me who this is. Okay, fine. They'd go inside, go on the computer system, pull up the call, the number, the phone number, call the guy. Okay, that's Shelley Barr, and she lives in St. Peter's. Okay, fine, thank you. How spooky is that? They say the majority of computer theft is not done by hackers coming in on a firewall, against a firewall. It's by people on the inside who are like, disgruntled with their job, or like the situation, you got a buddy who works for the police department. You call them up and say, hey, run this license plate. They're not supposed to do that. That's illegal. But yet they do. It happens all the time. Shelley, get with the program here, Things are not what they seem. You know what I'm saying?
Evidently not. Shelley world and the real world do not align very well.
See, that's why the government scares me. It's not the mayor. Well, in some cases, it is the mayor. In the city of St. Louis, the mayor. It's the worker bees. It's like what Trump used to talk about, the swamp. It's the low-level workers who, they don't care. Hey, I got a government job.
That wasn't the case in the FAA. Everyone cared.
That's different. You work for...
Why?
Because people's lives depended upon you.
Exactly.
I mean, you had a duty that if you screwed up when you're working on that avionics stuff that you worked on, if you didn't do it wrong, a 747 could nosedive into the Mississippi River and everybody on board could be killed. So you had but yet if you work for the Missouri Department of Revenue, what do you care? I told you the story about my one license plate got registered to the wrong number, and I've got another deal right now. Remember, my one car, don't give my license plate on the air, but my one car that someone has entered in the computer system that the driver in my car is wanted for murder. So when I drive that car and a cop gets by me, runs it, felony traffic stop, happened to me twice. Twice I've been pulled over, police officers, either guns out of their holsters or their hands on their guns, surrounding me with 4 police cars so I can't get out of my car because my license number comes up as a wanted for murder, and the person who's wanted for murder is a 23-year-old black woman from North City. Which
you are not.
Well, you know what?
Unless you're feeling that today.
I've decided that I'm going to be transracial and transgender and trans age. So today I am.
So not to stop you, but transracial. Yeah. Has that come up yet?
Oh yeah. Today I'm transracial, trans age, and transsexual. So this morning I'm a 23-year-old black woman, and I'm trans geo, which means I don't live in Podunk anymore. I live in North City. So I'm a black young female from North City. So I'm transracial, I'm transgender, I'm trans geo. What else am I?
Yeah, but you're not a dog.
I could be a dog.
Why would you want to be a dog, Brad?
Woof woof. Then I could work at Woofie's. Okay, it's 7:32.
Woofies. I love
Here's your
Woofie's.
weatherology forecast.
Is that your drum?
My drums. I haven't played my drum on the air in a while, have I?
You haven't?
It's in the back here.
Aw.
Can I hit my cymbal? Hold on, let me see if I can see if you can hear my cymbal. Here, hold on a minute. I hit my cymbal. Did you hear that?
I did.
Okay, that's my cymbal. Boy, it's
with
got
your hi-hat and your souped-up tempo. You're on the roll. It's time to go solo.
Okay, 2 things.
What?
I heard a guy the other day, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy is my hero. I heard a guy who is a former federal prosecutor who was, prosecuting cases on the federal level, talking about the situation in the city of St. Louis. And he was being sort of quizzed down, the point was being made, aren't we at the point of no return in the city of St. Louis? Because there's 4,000 cases that have not been prosecuted in the city of St. Louis. Wouldn't it take forever to have those cases prosecuted? Isn't it the point where they should just dismiss, Kim Gardner should dismiss a bunch of those cases because there's no way in the world you could ever get those cases through court? And you know what his answer was? Thought to
What?
myself, I love this guy. He says, yeah. He says, here's what you need to do. You need to run court 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, knock out 100 cases a day, and just mow through them. And most people go, oh, hold on a minute. You could have court on Saturday, Sunday? Why not? Court at night. Remember that goofy show was Night Court?
Night court.
Right.
Yeah.
They had court at night, right? What's
Yes.
wrong with that? One of the guys, I can't remember his name, who ran for office in Franklin County. He's running for judge. And he had a commercial that he recorded with us. He wrote the commercial, came in the studio and recorded it. And his point was, he came out and says, I'm so-and-so running for judge here in Franklin County. And, you hear about the legal system being all that it's all blocked up. And there's so many cases that are backlogged. Here's the problem. He says, go into any courtroom, any county courtroom, any county on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. You know what you'll find? Empty courtrooms. He says, if you elect me judge, that'll end. We'll have court on Friday afternoon. We'll have court on Saturday. We'll have court on Sunday. We'll get through this backlog of cases. I'm thinking to myself, that's private sector thinking. If you're making widgets and all of a sudden you run a new advertising campaign on Westplex 1071 and all of a sudden your demand for widgets goes through the ceiling, you don't tell people, I'm sorry, we can't get you your widgets. We only have enough people to make 10 widgets a day. You hire more people if you can find them. And if you hire more people and your plant's full of people, then what you do is you put on a second shift. And then if you still can't meet demand, you put on a third shift. And then you run 7 days a week. You have people working Monday through Wednesday, and you have people, Monday through Friday, you have people working Wednesday through Sunday. You put on then you build a new plant, okay? That's how things work, but yet not in our government, right?
Yes.
But what do I know? Just like with the FAA. I mean, like we have all these, the delays at airports now. So what does the FAA do? Hey, let's build more airports and build more runways. Matter of fact, at Lambert, they're putting in 3 more runways. Do you know that?
They are not. Stop it.
They don't even
use the ones they have.
Yeah, 1129, or what is it? Yeah, 1129, 1129.
That was actually put in after I left.
Yeah, W1W, whatever they call it. Yes, the runway that nobody wants. It's so bizarre.
It's actually a very cool runway.
But the problem is, once again,
it's just 5 miles away from the tower.
Think about it for a minute, okay? If you're landing from east to the west, in other words, you're coming in on runway 29, which is the new runway. So, and remember when they opened up the runway, they put the signs on I-70, caution, low-flying aircraft. They're out there on I-70 because they come in right over the hotels and they come in right over 70 right there in front of the airport, okay?
Yes.
If you land and you do your complete rollout all the way to the end of the runway, you're almost to 270, okay?
Yes.
Now, think about that for a minute. If you're Southwest Airlines, which is on the other end of the airport, think about how long it would take you if you got in your car and you drove, I don't know, what's a big airplane taxi at 15, 20 miles an hour? I don't know. Let's say you drove from 270, you got on 70, and you drove like Shelley drives at 20 miles an hour from 270.
Exactly.
See, I'm letting you.
Actually, that's not true. I don't know if I could drive 20 miles an hour.
I'm throwing you a softball because I thought for sure you'd say, no, that's Brad driving 20 miles an hour in I-70, right?
Well, it is.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
So if you drove 20 miles an hour from 270 on 70 to the Natural Bridge exit, which would put you on the east end of the airport, right there where Larry Flint's Hollywood store is all the time, and I just can't get enough of that store. Anyway, if you drove that...
Ew, overshare.
If you drove that distance, it would probably take you 15 minutes. It's got to be I don't know, 7-8 miles, something like that. It's a long distance, from 270 all the way to it's almost all the way to 170. Okay, from 270 to 170. I have to look at a map, see how much of a distance it is. And if you did it at 60 miles an hour,
well, the flight line actually goes over 170.
Right, for the end of the runways. If you did it at 60 miles an hour, it would take you if it was 7 minutes, if 7 miles would take you 7 minutes. If you did 30 miles an hour, it would take you 14 minutes. If you did 20 miles an hour, it would take you 17, 18 minutes. That's why nobody wants to use that runway, because of the fact that, you fly from Kansas City. The flight from Kansas City to St. Louis takes 30 minutes, and then it takes you 15 minutes to taxi from the end of runway 29 back to the East Terminal. Okay, let's think about that for a minute. You're flying at what, 600-700 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden you hit the runway and you land at the end of that runway, and it takes you 15 minutes to taxi back to the tower or to the terminal. God, crazy stuff. And it's all Shelley's fault. Shelley's the one that consulted. They says, Miss Barr, where should we put this new runway? She goes, knock out those people in Bridgeton. They don't need a house. Okay, fine.
Uh-huh.
That's
exactly what they did. I actually knew people who lived that got displaced.
Don't we all? I mean, I know all sorts of people that used to live out there.
Carrollton was one of the last subdivisions
sad
to go.
Because there's nothing out there anymore. It's on the other side of 270.
Yes.
The clubhouse is still there. You can drive by and still see the clubhouse. I had friends of mine that lived in Carrollton. It was a nice place.
Yeah, it was. It was lovely.
Yeah, I had friends of mine that lived in Mata.
Lived in where?
Mata. I had a friend of mine that lived in North Henway. And his goal in life was always to move to Henway.
Okay. Nice to have goals.
You're not going to bite on that one, huh?
No.
7:46. It is BS.Show. Sammy Davis Jr. The late, great Sammy Davis Jr. God, he was so talented. What a singer.
He really was.
What a singer, you know? And I have something in common with him.
Do you know that he has... Oh.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I have something in common with him.
What's that?
Only one eye. You're not going to say
Does that mean that... No, but I can't say it.
Okay, go ahead. Say it.
No, I can't say it because it's...
Go ahead, say it.
It's probably will get you in trouble, so
No.
I'm not going to do it.
You get me in trouble? Never. I do enough things to get myself in trouble. Okay.
I'm sure I help you a little bit.
Okay. I got a referral to this website the other day, and I'm still scratching my head over this. This is a website in England where they don't give away, it's like a lottery for Rolex watches, okay? And they put up, like, for example, look at the thing right now, and it says that here on the top of the I don't want to sign up. It says, we've given away, and this is in pounds, 8,070,000 pounds worth of timepieces and counting. And you go into the site, and here is the Rolex Batman Worth, which, according to this, is worth 16,500 pounds. And they only have so many tickets, and there's a counter on it. It says 2 days, 9 hours, 7 minutes, 55 seconds. Only 217 tickets left, okay? And you hit the enter the competition. So it tells you, when you enter the competition, it tells you one of the tickets costs $50. And it tells you there are only so many tickets. On this one, it says number of tickets, 550. So in other words, if you buy one ticket, your chance is 1 in 550 that you'll win this watch. So for $50, you could win $16,000. I just call it dollars because right now the pounds is a pound is worth a little bit less than a dollar. So in other words, if you have 1 pound right now, I think it's worth like 1 pound is worth like $1.20 or something like that in conversion right now. So let's just call it $16,000. Would you do that? $50, 1 in 550 chance, and this is what they do. They just every day they have a different watch up that you can go on. You can say, okay,
I probably would do that, especially if some of the proceeds were going to a charitable organization.
Okay, here's one: the Rolex OP41 Green Dial Free Comp. If you enter the competition, it says this value in this watch is worth $10,000. There's one available. And if you look at the odds are, what are they?
The odds are forever in your favor.
Continue. The odds are, how many tickets? This one has 500 tickets. Okay, so your chances of winning this watch is 1 in 500. $50. Maximum watch winner is 1. So what they're doing is, if you do the math on this, let's say they give this watch away, this one $16,000, and there's 550 people. So if you plug the numbers in, there's 550 times 50 is $27,000. So they're buying a $16,000 watch, and then when all 550 tickets are taken, they give the watch away, and they say they use some internet service that randomly picks a number, and when you get your ticket, you get a ticket number 1 through 550. So the random number generator picks a number. Let's say it's 226, and if that's your number, you win the watch. They get $27,500, and they give away a watch for $16,000. Thinking to myself, I should start this. I mean, let's do a deal where let's go to a car dealer and say, hey, see that car? We want to give that car away. If I give you $100, will you hold that car for a month? And they go, why are you going to do that? Well, we're going to do a lottery. Okay, fine, we'll hold it for a month. So we go online. Hey, right now you can, lottery tickets are only $100. And let's say it's a $20,000 car. I don't know if you can buy a $20,000 car. Let's say it's $20,000.
That would be like a Yugo.
That would be like a skateboard with a little electric motor on the back.
Yeah, with a little
right.
horn.
Right, okay. So let's say it's a $20,000 car. So we say, hey, it's the BS.Show lottery. Hey, yes, you want to win this car?
We can't talk about that, right? Because it's a lottery?
We can't do that on the air, yes. But I wonder if we can do it off the air. If we can just call it the BS not on the air .show lottery. You know what I mean? And once again, we go to the car dealership and we say, hey, how much is that car? How much I'd sell to it for $20,000. Okay, so we sell 30 tickets at $1,000 a piece. Okay, so then what we do is, and we say, we won't give the car away, but make it fair to everybody. We won't pull the lottery until we get all 30 tickets sold. So 30 people send us $1,000, and we go with a random generator, and it's ticket number 26. Number 26 wins. We go to the car dealership. We give the car dealer $20,000 for the car, and we keep 10. Why are we doing this stupid radio show? We could be doing this all day long, right?
Why don't we do that as like a subset
I mean, how
of
do they,
what we're
now,
doing?
See,
let's vertically integrate. Want to?
Okay, yeah. Shelley and I talk about this because from time to time, we have clients that want to do some type of a quote-unquote lottery.
Yes.
Hey, a promotion. And we can't do that in the state of Missouri, and we can't do it with the FCC because we're prohibited from doing lotteries. And as my ex-boss, Ron Grubbs, used to say, a lottery is a triangle. There's three sides to the lottery triangle. One is prize, one is chance, and one is consideration. So in other words, prize, obviously you're giving something away. Consideration is you have to pay for it. And chance means there's going to be a random drawing. In other words, it's not a skill. See, that's what's interesting. If skill's involved, it's not a lottery. In other words, if that's how they can do the hole-in-one contests, you don't see that as much as you used to, but you see a lot.
Cornhole?
No, the hole-in-one, like at golf tournaments. Like
yeah.
The Chamber of Commerce, a lot of chambers of commerce. Hey, we're having a hole-in-one contest, and what they do is they buy an insurance policy. Believe it or not, I don't know if they're still available, but there used to be a guy here in St. Louis that sell these policies. And you could buy, the policy was like, $4,000 or $5,000. And you would say, hey, we're having a hole-in-one contest. And all it takes is $50 for you. If you get a hole-in-one, you get this brand new Chevrolet Corvette. And the odds of that are pretty slim. So in other words, and these guys got it all figured out. They, to the point where you would tell them what golf course it was, and they had it in their database. Okay, and what holes? Let's say you say, XYZ golf course, hole 3. Oh, that's a par 3. It's 165 yards. So they would put in their computer, okay, the odds of someone teeing off from that golf course and hitting a hole-in-one are 1 in 10 million. So then they would say, okay, that insurance policy is going to cost you $4,000. So you would pay $4,000 to the insurance company, and then people would show up, and you would hopefully get enough money where you're paying $4,000 for the insurance policy, and let's say 100 people showed up at, $100 a piece. Let's make it easy. Let's say 100 people showed up at $50 a piece. So that would be $5,000. So in other words, you pay the insurance company $4,000. Nobody hits a hole-in-one. You make $1,000. If somebody does get a hole-in-one, you just still pay the $4,000 to the insurance company, and some guy gets a free car that the insurance company pays for. Lloyd's of London used to do this until they went and got in trouble. Matter of fact, they got in trouble because the smartest woman in the world audited their books and find out they were scamming people. But that's a whole nother.
That would not surprise me. It's 7:59. Say goodbye, Brad.
Boy, you're in a hurry to get out of here today, aren't you?
No, it's 7:59.
But it's
usually you are like, say goodbye, Shelley.
Hey,
make it a second.
The railroad has to run on time. You know what I mean? Trains have to get here at 7:59. just like Metrolink. You know, when they say the train comes at 7:59, it's there at 8:59, right?
Yes.
Okay, have a real good weekend, Shelley.
You too, Brad.
I'll talk to you on Monday.
Yep. Peace and I fly, everyone.
As Shelley has prominently displayed on the air verbally, it is 7:59.
Have you heard about Salt River Automotive? Not only are we open for business and ready to serve you, we are sponsors of the BS in the Morning Show on Westplex 107.1. Check us out on Facebook at Salt River Automotive LLC. See you soon.